Okay then. Good evening everyone. Welcome to week 3 or session 3 of the RIAK Discovery series. So for anyone new to these sessions, my name's Rich. I'm the founder and head coach at RIAK Fitness. We're a coaching outfit looking after triathletes and cyclists. This Discovery series, the whole purpose behind it, guys, is that each week we have a different session that is meant to kind of tell a story. It's meant to tell you a little bit more about yourself as an athlete, and to kind of just sort of reveal something about the state of play, your fitness, your conditioning, and your strengths and weaknesses. So tonight we're focusing on the VO2 max power range, and I'll explain all when we get going. So let's just get pedaling. We've got just a few seconds until we start rolling. Here we go. Okay. Okay, off we go then. All present and correct, hopefully. So, just starting off nice and relaxed with a pretty chilled warm-up. So, we've got the normal sort of 10-minute build, picking up by about 6 to 10 watts every couple of minutes. So you've got plenty of relaxing time. And then basically, guys, I'll just talk you through the workout quickly before we get stuck into what we're kind of trying to achieve. We've got the normal warm-up, we've got the fast pedaling efforts, and then we've got like a primer build where we're building up through the training zones, and then we hit out with a big kind of sprint effort at the end of it. That's just to kind of really get us going. Okay, so that's quite a big one. Then we've got some cruising time before we get into the first VO2 effort. So guys, that first effort is quite a long one. It's about 8 minutes long. Okay, and we're going to be out of erg mode for that. So remember, we're going to be out of erg mode for quite a big chunk of this session. If you're not familiar with how to turn erg mode off, go to the sensors menu on RGT, top right hand corner. There's an erg tab. Don't need to do this now. I'll prompt you when to do it, but we'll be turning that off. Okay, and then basically what your trainer will do, if you've got a smart trainer, it will just simulate the course, which is pretty pan flat. We're riding around the outer circle of Regent's Park right now, which is in London. You didn't know that? Yes, so that big first chunk, you got the worst interval at the beginning. So from there, things get a lot easier. So that first interval is 8 minutes long. We then got a lovely recovery section, cruising all the way until that second block, which is 5 minutes. Okay, more recovery, and then we've just got two 2-minute intervals at the very end of the session. Right, so we're working on VO2 max power range. Okay, so your VO2 max, for anyone that's not familiar, is the maximum volume of oxygen that you can kind of process at any one time. Alright, so basically when you go beyond your VO2 max, you're working pretty much anaerobically. Okay, in terms of numbers, your VO2 max power range, or zone 5, if you're familiar with your training zones, it sits between about 106 to 120% of FTP. Now, first things first, kind of where exactly how wide your VO2 max power range is, etc. It's kind of a theoretical power range, because ultimately, you know, we're all built differently. Our VO2 max is largely defined by genetics, although you can kind of improve it to a certain extent. But really, what you're doing is just getting more efficient at using oxygen. Okay, so but your VO2 max power range, the power range that we're going to be working in tonight with those efforts, is going to be between 106% of FTP to 120. Okay, and basically, the longer the interval, the lower the power. All right, so that 8-minute interval is at the lower end of the VO2 spectrum, and then those 2 minutes at the end, they're at the higher end of the VO2 spectrum. Okay, and basically the purpose of tonight's session is to kind of see how well your VO2 max is developed. Okay, and also to kind of demonstrate to you that you kind of have gears within gears. So your training zones are, they roughly delineate changing in metabolic processes in your body. Okay, and that's why after you go over your zone 4 threshold, you've got in quick succession sort of 3 different power zones. You've got zone 5, which is VO2, which we're working tonight, zone 6, which is your anaerobic power, and zone 7 is kind of your neuromuscular power, which is basically max effort sprint for a max of 30 seconds. Okay, so those training zones delineate changes, the different shifts into different energy systems that you use. Don't worry if this is kind of going or you just don't care, it's really not a big deal, but just to kind of give you a bit of background. So VO2 max, we're at that point just over our threshold, all the way up until we go completely anaerobic. All right, and our body sort of switches into using a different process for producing energy. I will be explaining a little bit more about that during the recovery intervals, which you may or may not be interested in. But basically, in a nutshell, what we're doing tonight, guys, is just seeing what you've got when you're just underneath that anaerobic level. Okay, so it's tough in terms of perceived effort. For those interval lengths, you're talking a 9 out of 10 effort. Okay, that's why there's so few intervals. You basically got 3 intervals. Those 2-minuters will be over very quickly. All right, it's that 8-minute beast you got to get through, and then the 5-minute demi beast that you got to get through. Apologies, my RGT is a bit jittery. We thought he'd solved it, but it's still not particularly happy. It's not that my RGT itself isn't running, it's the link up to our stream. I doubt, if you guys are actually on RGT, I doubt you bother too much. But hopefully you can at least hear me. So guys, just relax. We've got about 90 seconds of the penultimate step of the warm-up. We should be looking at a leg speed around 85 RPM, if not above, and just chilling out basically, getting ready to go, getting the fluids on board, and getting ready for action. Quick little reminder, if you've got any questions, guys, punch them into the RGT chat or the Zoom chat, or if you're on Zoom, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask away. Okay? There is going to be plenty of time for chat. We've got long sort of recovery sectors where you should hopefully feel good. The idea is that these are high quality intervals. All right? And the reason we're going to be performing those VO2 intervals out of erg mode is because they're basically little time trials. So yes, you've got a power target, which is going to give you kind of like a good idea of where you should be. But ultimately, guys, I just encourage you to go as hard as you can for the full 8 minutes. Okay? So that means an element of pacing, which is kind of like an ancillary, a secondary goal of tonight's session. How good are you at pacing efforts according to time? Okay? So that's another little feature of tonight's session. So we're going to be getting you from all kinds of angles, a really high quality and hopefully elucidating session. So we're into the final step of the warm-up. Just a couple of minutes till we hit those fast pedaling efforts. Now you'll see those fast pedaling efforts, there's a lot of juice behind them. All right, we're at around 120% of FTP on those. They're really short though, but it's just to try and really encourage you to get the legs going, get that leg speed high, and to switch on those fast twitch muscle fibers, because those fast twitch fibers, they're going to get a roasting tonight, guys. Okay, not to sound too ominous. So just make sure you're ready for those fast pedaling efforts and they're not too much of a shock when we crank up the power. By the way, if you see me having a little freak out, it's because I've got the window right next to me and it is so windy out there. It's ridiculous. As every now and then the blinds snap back. That scares the crap out of me. So you may well see someone have a heart attack live on stream. Okay, so about 45 seconds till we get going in earnest. Starting off with those fast pedaling efforts, hopefully giving you a good idea of what we're up to this evening or in this session. So it's game faces on. Let's get ready to do some damage. Come on, guys. 30 seconds till we hit it. Pick up that leg speed. Get it well above 85 RPM. We don't want a near standing start. We need somewhere for our legs to go. This is good, guys. So the rubber banding effect is on in RGT, but probably a bit pointless, really. We're all going to be smashing ourselves to pieces at different rates. Starting with this first fast pedaling effort coming up. Here we go then. Come on, guys. Really spin up those legs. Getting well above 100 RPM. That's good. There we go. Good stuff, guys. Suddenly I'm getting pushed further and further back. Okay, well done, everyone. Really good stuff. So just one more of those to go, and then we start that build, that little primer build. So whenever you're doing sessions like this, where you are intending to pretty much go full gas, it's really important you have a really good long and dynamic warm-up. Mentioning those fast twitch muscle fibers, that's a primary objective of a warm-up like this, getting those going. But just kind of giving you a bit of time to kind of get into the session, get your mind switched on, get focused. So whenever you're doing anything like this, it requires sort of a max type effort. Make sure we're really nice and warm. Okay, here we go for round 2 of the fast pedaling efforts. Get ready, guys, that power's about to come on board. Here we go. So absolutely fine if you're still in erg mode at the moment, guys. Just keep it going. Well done, everyone. Really good stuff, guys. Okay, so we've got just under a minute, and then we're going to start that first step of the build. Each one is about 60 seconds long until we get to that sprint. And it's sort of like a 3/4 sprint. It's not full gas. Okay, and it's super short as well. It's just a last opportunity to kind of grease up those legs and get them going. And then we've got a lovely long sort of chilled cruise period. So it's quite an aggressive warm up, but then we do have a bit of time to gather ourselves before we get into that 8-minute VO2 effort. Okay, so keep it going, guys. Try and stay relaxed as best as you can. Okay, up we go then. Up to a sort of tempo level, which if we're going back to our training zones, which I will run through quickly once we get through this build sector. Tempo, you're talking about zone 3 and around 80% of FTP. Excellent work, guys. Quick check in case anyone's asked any questions on Zoom. Get a chat feed up at least. Okay, last few seconds at tempo, then cranking up to threshold, so up to 100% of FTP. Here we go. Okay, lift that leg speed. Make sure you're above about 90 RPM now. Okay, really lift it, guys. Great to see so many RIAK jerseys on the RGT set tonight, guys. Remember, there is an avatar kit on RGT. Would be great to see as many people as possible in the RIAK jersey. mate, just because it gives me a big head. And I can boast about it. That's pretty much it. Okay, last 30 seconds, guys. Still at threshold. Get ready to lift it up one notch up. Don't worry, this is just still part. This is kind of a primer set. Don't worry if it's feeling a bit rough. The whole point of it is to get that out of your system. That kind of not yet warmed up but working hard feeling. Okay, we're trying to get that out of the system, so don't stress if you're feeling stressed. You've got a lovely cruise period afterwards. So we're above threshold now. Working pretty hard. Keep trying to remind yourself to relax if you can. $30 and then we kind of let loose a little bit. Don't overthink it. Just get ready to go. Okay, excellent stuff, guys. 10 seconds till we get ready to go. So pick up that leg speed. Come on, guys, lift it. Let's get ready to put in sort of a demi sprint. 3, 2, 1. Off we go then. Come on, guys. It's only 15 seconds. Really give it some. That's good. The whole pack that I'm in anyway is surging like crazy. Good. Well done. Well done. Okay, and relax, guys. Okay, well done, everyone. Chill. So we've got around 5 minutes of cruising, down at about 65% of FTP. Zone 2. So I'm gonna have a little bit of chat about training zones, guys. Apologies if this is all familiar to you, and we do talk about this fairly regularly, but obviously we've got people joining, coming in at different levels of experience, of cycling knowledge. So I'm afraid there is going to be an element of repetition to our sessions in terms of the knowledge that we try to disseminate. It's not laziness, it's just that it's hard to build upon it if we haven't all got kind of foundational knowledge. So training zones, guys, as I said earlier, we use 7 when it comes to cycling. Okay, the most important kind of one you need to know is at zone 4. That's where your FTP is. Okay, and then you can kind of gauge efforts in relation to that. But just starting from the bottom, zone 1 you are going to have experience of tonight after this first 8-minute beast. Okay, so that's any effort under about 55% of FTP. It's your active recovery level. So guys, whenever you're doing your active recovery, firstly, keep it pretty short, max of an hour, and you need to keep your power under about 55% of FTP. If you're riding harder than that, you're basically not going to be riding hard enough to get a stimulus training effect, but then you're going to be riding too hard to recover at an optimal rate. So 55% of FTP and below, that's where you can recover best. Zone 2, you're talking between about 56 and 75% of FTP, and that's where we are now. Okay, it's like a 4 out of 10 effort. We're riding at around 65% of FTP right now, so that's zone 2, this effort right now. Okay, zone 3, we experienced in the primer build. It feels like a 6 out of 10 effort, and you're talking somewhere around 80% of FTP. Okay, so 76 to 90% of FTP. Okay, that's zone 3, that's your tempo race riding, and you'll find actually that you spend quite a long time there when you're racing, because it's a strong effort, but it's one that you can kind of maintain pace at, but you're not at your threshold, which is where zone 4 is. As I mentioned earlier, your aerobic threshold, your FTP, that's zone 4. And then tonight we're focusing on that zone 5, that VO2 max, that switch to increasingly more anaerobic work. That's 106 to 120% of FTP. Then we get purely anaerobic in zone 6. That's 120% to, well, anywhere really, just above 120% of FTP roughly. And then zone 7, your neuromuscular power, that's basically the max power that you can put out for a total of 30 seconds. We're utilizing what's called your phosphocreatine system, the sort of system that powerlifters use or sprinters. Really short efforts, utilizing an anaerobic energy system. So that's a quick little run through the training zones. Okay. Now though, guys, coming back to the set, let's start turning erg mode off. Okay. We've got a pan flat course. We don't need erg mode on. It's only going to limit your power, and particularly with these efforts, it'll probably be quite hellish. So turn erg mode off, go to the sensors menu, top right hand corner is the erg tab. Turn that off, wait 10-15 seconds until it switches off, and then you will see your power start to fluctuate. It's absolutely fine, guys. Okay, keeping a nice high leg speed will help keep your power consistent. You will have to look after your gearing, make sure you're in the right gear, but let's get that erg mode off. We've got about 45 seconds until we hit that first 8-minute effort. So guys, it's just an 8-minute time trial, going as hard as you think you can go for the full 8 minutes. Now pace yourself, because 8 minutes is a long time, but let's get ready for it. Okay, so we're at the long end of the VO2 spectrum. We're creeping just over threshold, and we're just going to see how well we do there. So let's get ready, guys. Erg mode is off. 15 seconds till we get going. Make sure you got yourself into a gear you can drop down from, and let's get that leg speed nice and high, at least above 85. Let's get ready to go, guys. Here we go then, come on. First 8-minute interval. This is the beast. This is the one to really kind of focus hard on getting through. You've got such a long cruising period after this. Plenty of time to recover before the next interval. So don't hold back, guys. Just pretty much give it everything you got. Come on. It's good stuff. This group is really starting to break up. We've also got some beasts on the front. So this is one of the few occasions where having a bit of competition, having someone's wheel to follow can be helpful, just pushing you on that little bit harder. Think of it as a time trial, remember, which means we need to relax as much as possible. Okay, soften the elbows, soften the shoulders away from the ears, stamp on those pedals, keep the bum planted. In terms of the target power that's up on the screen, we're looking at around 110% of FTP. Okay, so it's just a target. Don't feel constrained by it. Just go as hard as you think you can go for the full 8 minutes. Always best to be a little bit conservative and then kind of push even harder in the second half. If you need to compartmentalize it, break it into 2-minute efforts. So we're coming towards the end of the first 2 minutes. 4 2-minute efforts. Think of it that way. Helps it stop feeling too enormous. Okay. There we go. End of the first 2-minute sector. We've got 3 more to go. Oh, you did such a wonderful job, guys. So just imagine you're in the Tour de France, you're one of the sprinters, lead out men. This is the sort of effort they would go into, leading out one of the big dogs. Okay, so have that mentality. You've got to get your man to the front and you've got to keep him there. Alternatively, you're on kind of the deciding climb of whatever race you're doing. This is the type of effort. It's quite a long climb. You know you can sustain just above your threshold. This is what we're up to, okay? So give yourself some context and let's get stuck in. Well, and everyone, see you guys working super hard. Just keep it going. Okay, here we are coming up to halfway through. So just two 2-minute sectors to go. 4 minutes of hard work, guys. Okay, so if we're going for a bit of a negative split approach, let's lift that power, let's lift that effort. Let's go hard for just under 4 minutes. Well done, everyone. Keep pushing, keep driving, don't give up. Okay, you're into the last push now. There's not too much longer of this effort, and just remember you've got tons of recovery afterwards. So don't fret about the rest of this session. Just keep your head down, keep powering through this effort. Well done, guys, well done. Final drive for the line coming up. It's that 2-minute final burst. Here we go then. Final push for the line, last 2 minutes. Come on guys, lift it. Drive it on, lift that power, final 2 minutes, let's empty the tank. You got tons of recovery after this, so don't worry about holding something back. Just go for it now. Come on guys, push, 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 push. Last 90 seconds. You're really close now, guys. Coming up onto the final 60 seconds. Right, let's go big for the big last 60 then. Come on then, guys. Push, push, push. 60 seconds. $45 to go. You're nearly there. Come on, all the way to the line, 30 seconds. Last little nudge. $20. Last 10 seconds, come on. You're so close, keep pushing. 3, 2, 1. Yes, guys, really well done. Really well done, everyone. If you're still going, if you're a little bit behind, don't stress. Just keep on going all the way to the end. But if you're finished, really well done. That's the worst one out of the way, guys. Okay, just relax. Right down to about 50% of FTP now. Okay, just chill. spin out the legs, get the fluids on board, piece together the parts of your soul, just chill. So it's a really, really good effort, guys. So that's the beast out the way. That's 8 minutes at the lower, don't get me wrong, bloody hard end of VO2 max. Okay, so really well done. So just a reminder of the VO2 max power range. It's 106 to around 120% of FTP. We've been at the lower end at around 110%. Have a look back after the session at your data, whichever kind of training platform you're using. And really encourage you to always have just a little peek back at your data after this. What I'll be really interested for you to do is to see how your power changed over the course of that 8 minutes, and that also how your cadence changed. So I didn't give too many cadence prompts on that one, because these are time trials. It's kind of doing what you think is best. Okay, what I'd really like you to do after the session though is have a look at that 8 minute effort and see what was going on with your cadence. Did you get suckered? Sorry, that's a really unnecessarily aggressive expression. Did you get drawn into pushing a big gear with a low cadence? Because that tends to be what can happen when you're getting tired in a super threshold effort like that. You start to grind into a big gear and push it slowly. And actually what happens is you fatigue more quickly. So I'd be really interested to see what happens during that interval, how consistent your power was. Were there peaks and troughs, dramatic peaks and troughs? There may well be, and that's okay. But it's all about learning about how you produce power. Because ideally, what we would have seen in that 8 minute effort, if it was well paced and you got a good level of fitness, is we've seen like a steady progression, a build into it over the first 4 minutes, and then a pick up with 4 minutes to go, another pick up 2 minutes to go, and then basically full gas for the final minute. So you hopefully were taking it in stages and built upon each stage, knowing that you can go harder, because ultimately that's what you got to do in a time trial. The tactic of just going full gas right from the start, it tends to only end one way, and that's with your power going off a cliff and you questioning your reality, basically. So have a look back at that one. I think you might find it interesting. Yeah, it'll take you a minute or so to check it. It's not about whenever you're looking at your data, guys, it's not necessarily about coming out with some sort of eureka moment. It's about just kind of keeping an eye on it, see what's going on, looking for patterns. You don't have to be as anal as a coach. It's just about kind of keeping your eye on what's going on. And then do the same for the 5 minute and the 2 minute intervals. Okay? Take a couple of minutes. And if you remember back to us talking about aerobic decoupling, this will be another interesting one to have a look at. So there will be decoupling because you're working well above threshold, but just see how much of an aerobic element there was to that 8 minute effort, and at what point things potentially started to really separate. So if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about when it comes to aerobic decoupling, we talked about it in the previous session. So you can always go back and have a look at our live streams. Okay. I also posted a standalone video on aerobic decoupling in our know-how, which you can find on our website. All right, have a look at that. See what's going on there with your heart rate and your power. For now though, just chill out. We're still only halfway through this recovery interval. So I wasn't lying to you when I said it was really nice and long and cruisy. The idea really is that each of these time trials is really high quality. So hopefully you won't unfortunately have recovered completely, but you've recovered hopefully to a good extent. Okay. So get the fluids back on board, guys. Before you know it, we'll be back stuck into that 5-minute effort. And in terms of our target for the 5-minute effort, let me get the right tab up. We've got a target of around 115% of FTP. Okay, now this 5-minute effort is a really important one actually. So the 5-minute power is what we call critical power or peak power, depending on which platform you use. It's basically like a PB. So hopefully over time, over the months of training, you keep track of your peak powers, your critical powers, and your 5-minute power is one of them. So this is an opportunity to set a bit of a benchmark. Okay, excuse me, you're obviously going to have some fatigue from that 8-minute beast, but just give it a go. See how close you can get to your 5-minute power. All right, and if you don't have any clue what I'm on about, then this is your chance to set a benchmark. See what your average power is for this 5-minute effort, and then just keep tabs of that over time, because your 5-minute power is always a really good indicator of how well developed your VO2 max is. With this session, we're just taking that to the next degree. We're hitting you at the lower, middle, and top end of the VO2 spectrum. So it's kind of a bit of a blunt force trauma exploration of the VO2 max power range, but also hopefully a really good and challenging session. So staying relaxed, guys. We've got just under 3 minutes before we get stuck back into it. No worries, guys. Just seeing the messages on RGT. You can always skip forwards if you have a dropout or what have you to join back up with the session, but I wouldn't stress about it too much. Whenever the tech is going wrong, it's best sometimes just to leave it and just try and stay as relaxed as possible and get your session done. So remember, we're out of erg mode still. If you turned it back on for the recovery, make sure you're turning it off now. And we're going full gas for the full 5 minutes. This time our target is somewhere around 115% of FTP. Don't overthink it too much, and don't stress too much about that power target. Just go big for the full 5 minutes. Keep it very simple. 9 out of 10 effort. Throwing the kitchen sink at it. Just about 1 minute and 40 seconds till we get stuck in again. So last little squidges of water. Make sure that leg speed is back up above 80 RPM, so you're pedaling nice and efficiently and getting ready to drop in that big gear again. Under 90 seconds, so let's get ready. Let's get focused. Let's get ready to work hard again. So this is the Demi Beast. Get through this one, I promise you, those 2-minute intervals will feel like nothing. All right, so this is the last kind of one that I think you really need to big yourself up, build up your motivation, pick up that positivity, and get ready to do battle. Because as I say, those 2-minute efforts will feel like nothing after the 8-minuter in this one. Remember though, 5-minute peak power. Let's see what we can do. Okay, less than 50 seconds. Pick that leg speed up. Get ready to drop the gear. Come on, guys, you can do this. Let's go strong. "30 seconds then. Here we go, 20. Right, get ready to drop the hammer. Build into it. Remember, you've got a long time, 5 minutes. So similar approach to the 8-minute effort, but just starting at probably a higher baseline. Here we go, 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go then, guys. Come on. Pick it up, let's go. Get that leg speed well above 90 RPM, probably closer to 100. Really smashing those pedals to pieces. Nice high leg speed. Your legs should be turning over like Roadrunner. If it helps, what I tend to do in these types of sets is I always break it up. So for a 5-minute effort, I'll break it into 2 3-minute efforts and then just have that 1 minute push at the end. Okay? Do what works best for you. That's how I would do it. Sorry, not 2 3-minute efforts, 2 2-minute efforts. And then that final 1 minute push at the end. I am shocking at maths. Honestly, how the hell did I get through school? Extra tuition, that's how. Honestly. Okay guys, so that's the first minute down. Building, 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 pushing, pushing, pushing. 9 out of 10 effort. Come on guys, you can do this. Excellent work, guys. I can see some nice consistent numbers on my RGT screen. Hopefully that doesn't mean we're in erg mode, but hopefully it means we've got a really nice high leg speed and we're producing that power nice and smoothly, trying to avoid any big accelerations and decelerations, because every time you have to kick back up to pace, you're wasting extra energy. So try and keep it consistent, pick it up in levels. So if you're breaking up like I do, we're into that second 2-minute sector, and then we go full beans for the final minute. Well done, everyone. Brilliant work, guys. You're over halfway through this interval. Come on, just coming up to 2 minutes to go. Keep lifting it if you can. You're into the final push now, just over 90 seconds left. You can do this, guys. So let's kick into the afterburners when we've got 60 seconds to go. You can do a lot of damage in that final 60 seconds. So hopefully you've got a little lift in you. Get ready to lift it then. Here we go, come on, 60 seconds. Lift it, guys. Pick it up. Come on, push, 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 push. Pick up that leg speed. Don't get suckered into the big gear work. Last 20 seconds, come on. Drive it home. Last little effort, keep it going. Final 10 seconds. You're so close now, guys. Come on, last couple of seconds. Good, good, good. Well done, everyone. Really well done. Relax. Oh man, that one is horrible. I know. I actually hate doing it when we do our performance testing. That 5-minute effort is just the worst. But really well done, guys. Catch your breath, get the fluids back on board, and just spin up the legs. Do what you got to do. Once you've got your breath back though, try to bring your leg speed back up, keeping the power low, of course. You've got your recovery target, but bring the leg speed back up above 80 RPM, so you're at least pedaling efficiently. That will help with the clearance of lactate in your legs. So well done, guys. And again, after the session, have a look at your average power, etc., and the way you handled your gearing in terms of what it did to your cadence. So have a little look through that. If that's kind of your first sort of conscious effort at a big 5 minutes, take note of that power, that average power that you put in for that effort, because that's going to be your new peak 5-minute power, and it's one to kind of keep track of over time as representative of how well developed your VO2 max is. Okay, so worth definitely having a look back at the data on this. I'm not trying to turn you guys into data geeks, but yeah, I think if you're looking to improve even to at any level, just being aware of patterns and just kind of having a basic understanding of your data makes it worthwhile, the money that you spend on platforms and coaches, etc., etc. So well done, guys. Still got 3 minutes of pure recovery, and then we're just gonna squeeze in these 2-minute efforts. The first one is again about hitting a peak power, so it's full gas. That second one is just about survival and getting through it, and probably just me being a bit mean, really, adding in a second one. All right, but there is an element of also seeing how you can repeat it. So we're knackered. Well, you are. I'm coaching, so I'm taking it relatively easy. But even when you're knackered, it's still important that you can see how close you can get to repeating that power. So there's an element of that in this as well. So really well done, guys. You've got the horrible stuff done. These 2-minute efforts, we're now closer to that 120% top end of VO2, onto the bridge between that and going purely anaerobic. So there's going to be a huge anaerobic element to these next 2 efforts. Okay. Now though, just relax, make sure you pitch your leg speed back up above 80, keeping the power nice and low, around 40, it's about 45% of FTP. Just cruising, last fluids going on board. We are about to go anaerobic, so the fluids might come back up if we're taking on too much, so just be a little bit conservative, just little sips. And we're now into the end game of the session, guys. All right, so stay motivated, stay with it. It's a brutal sesh, but you come this far, so let's finish it off. Let's hit that top end of the VO2 power range. It's really hard not to say Power Ranger when you're saying power range. I guess we all in our light crew look a little bit like Power Rangers, I guess. If you don't know what Power Ranger is, what's that? Yeah, what I was just about to say, if you don't know what Power Ranger is, get off. Yeah, Oscar. Yeah. I think the Power Rangers are still kicking about, actually. Not the actual actors. Oh, I'm not going to disagree with that one, mate. Anyway, guys, right, let's focus in. Last 25 seconds. For anyone on the live stream, I was just having the piss taken out of me because of my knowledge of Power Rangers. Always liked my favourite was the white Power Ranger. Anyway, moving on, come on, last 10 seconds then. Pick up the leg speed. Sorry, there was a white Power Ranger in the white light curve before anyone starts to think too much into that. Here we go then, guys. Big 2-minute effort, so we're going purely anaerobic, or nearly purely anaerobic now. Upwards of 120% of FTP. Big effort, guys, come on. Okay, that's 30 seconds down. Big final efforts then, guys. Come on, you can do this. Coming into the last 60 seconds, let's get ready to kick. Ready? Get ready, guys. 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's kick. Last 60 seconds. Empty the tank time. Come on, guys, you're so close. You're nearly there. Come into the last 30 seconds. Carl, you can do it. Final nudge. Final little drive to the line. Here we go, 20 seconds. Come on, open the taps now, guys. Push it all the way to the end. Come into the last 10. Last few seconds. 2, 1. Good, good, good. And relax. Well done, everyone. Just breathe. Spin up and relax. But as soon as you got your breath back, start getting that leg speed back up above 80. We haven't got so long, less than 3 minutes to recover. So let's do it efficiently. Okay. Forgive me for fiddling around with my phone. There's a little bit of blurb that I want to send your way once we're into the cool down. I'm just getting it ready. Wasn't just texting people, although as we've already established with my Power Ranger chat, I probably don't have that many people to talk to anyway. Okay. Although I do struggle to see how that can be more geeky than cycling. Let's face it. It's only just become cool. Okay, 2 minutes of chilling out. Just relax. Spinning out the legs. A few swigs of water. Hopefully you got your windows nice and wide. Getting in that airflow. So it's all come down to this final effort, guys. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Let's try and emulate the first one though, the first 2 minute effort, and do our best to try and hit that average power again. You're gonna be tired, but just do everything you can. It's the final effort, you might as well give it full whack. You've done a fantastic job getting to this point, guys. These are some horrible, horrible efforts, but extremely important, particularly if you do any racing, whether that's e-racing or road racing. Really important efforts, these. These are the type of efforts where if you do them regularly, you become much better at suffering. I know that's not the most appealing thing in the world, but it's true. Get good at holding your VO2 power, and it will improve your ability to go deep. Okay, 30 seconds, so let's just get focused for this final rep. It's 2 minutes of hurt, but then we're done. So get that leg speed back above 80 if you've properly chilled out. And let's get ready to battle one last time. 10 seconds, rev the legs up. Get ready to drop that gear. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go then. Come on, guys. Pick it up. Our final foray. Come on. Okay, you're coming up towards halfway. Keep it going. Stay positive, guys. Keep fighting. Keep driving those legs. Keep that leg speed high. Here we go. Get ready to go for it. Last 60-second push and then pain is over. Here we go. Come on, guys. Lift it one last time. 60 seconds, all out. Everything you've got. Last 30 seconds. Cole, you're so close to the line now. Don't let your level drop. Keep pushing on. Lift it for the final 20 seconds. Come on. Let's go, guys. 15 seconds, we're so close now. 10 second, last push. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. There you go, guys. There you go. A really fantastic effort, everyone. Oh, that's a toughie, that set. Really good stuff. So just get your breath back, relax. Excellent stuff. Just give you another 30 seconds for just finish with my final little message. So basically, guys, the last thing I was going to say was the kind of the last little review you can do of your power for each of those efforts is just compare the difference in between them. So obviously, hopefully as you went from the 8 to the 5 to the 2-minute efforts, that average power increased relatively significantly. Okay, so this comes back to my point I was making right at the beginning about you got this zone 5 VO2 max power range, but you got gears within that, you got levels within that. So between the 8-minute effort and the 5-minute effort, you're probably looking at somewhere in the range of a 30-watt difference, a 30-watt increase between 8-minute and 5-minute. Something like that, okay? Very roughly. That's just kind of anecdotal more than any kind of scientific backing for that. That's more that I've just kind of seen over time how like really fit athletes with a well-developed VO2 and anaerobic power, that tends to be around the margin between that 8 and 5-minute effort. And then similarly, between the 5-minute and the 2-minute effort, another 20 watts, probably at least, average over that 2-minute effort. Okay, so really well done, guys. I hope you do have a little look at your data afterwards. If you've got any questions post-session, do always feel free to drop us a line. Likewise, if anyone's got any questions now or after the session, I will stick around. But that's your VO2 Max TT set. That's the end of week 3 of the Discovery series. Hopefully you found that challenging but satisfying, or maybe you're just filled with hatred towards me, I don't know. But really well done, everyone. That's depending on the type of F power that you put in. I think we're talking around 76 TSS, there or thereabouts, maybe a bit higher if you're really going for it. Just in case anybody's interested in the quantification of the effort. You probably don't care right now, you probably just want to go have some food and call it a ball. But there you go, guys, that's your session. Really well done, everyone. If anyone's got any questions, I'm here to answer them. Otherwise, give yourself a pat on the back and go find yourself some protein and have a nice stretch. Well done, everyone. Cheers, guys, well done. Well done, guys. Have yourself a lovely evening. I'll see you.